Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. One of the great monks of our order, Swami Yatishwaranji Maharaj, you must have heard of him, many of you. So he would say, whatever he said was very significant. He would say that you must begin from where you are. You must begin from where you are. If you begin from where you are not, you will reach nowhere. So a step-by-step process, a process is required initially. You see, when is it that we can let go of the process? When the mind is in our hands completely. Then it is so riveted to the goal that you don't require a process. लेकिन तब तक तो process चाहिए ना? So that is why a means to this. See here, readily the means is being given. और इसको लेके साधना करना है. Sticking to the means is very important initially. As long as our mind is distracted, chasing a number of things, and we are not sure what mood we will be in tomorrow, when this is the condition, when you are under your mind, you must stick to the process. You must stick to the means of sadhana, because otherwise you will not arrive at what they are telling us. You can only let go of the process when your mind is so ripe, it remains riveted to the goal by itself. It doesn't require an outer stimulus or trigger. By itself it is merged in God. Then you don't require a process, obviously. So tab tak we have to be very careful and very persistent and orientate our whole life towards this. So you see, that is why you see the 11th verse of Laghu Vakya Vritti. Very clearly he puts it, Shankaracharya, Nashte purva vikalpe tu yavad anyasya nodayah nirvikalpaka chaitanyam spashtam tavad vibhasate. Purva vikalpe nashte. What is the meaning of purva vikalpe nashte? The preceding modification, once it has subsided. Yavat udaya anyasya, and before the appearance of the next modification, nirvikalpaka chaitanyam, the unmodified pure consciousness, spashtam vibhasate, it shines forth very clearly between these two modifications. And tavat, during that interval, it just shines forth. The ability to catch this is important. Between two modifications of the mind, am I able to remain over as the witness consciousness? The interval between those two modifications, am I able to touch pure being? Because it is ever present. We are identified with the modifications, that is the whole problem. When you are over-identified with something, your intelligence will not remain sthir. It will get colored by the modification. So then you will not see the interval between two modifications. So no awareness. It is only when I am able to, which means what? The vrittis are happening in such a regulated manner, and they are by themselves so pure that I am able to catch the interval between two thoughts. Now this can only happen if your vrittis are about God. If they are about something else and with force I am trying to separate two vrittis, ऐसा सब, it won't work. आप करके देखो. You are in the midst of something and I try to separate two thoughts and try to catch the interval. You can't do all that. It is only in meditation when you are concentrating on God. Say even the personal aspect of God. you will be able to catch, because your vrittis are so well regulated in that state. There is a kind of sarupya, and there is a kind of, means the same kind of vritti rises and falls at the same pace. Then you will be able to catch this interval between two vrittis. It will not happen as long as thinking itself is totally unregulated and just full of desire and sort of an energy which you can't control. That state you can't do this research. So learn to concentrate on the right thing, which means, again, you see, bringing in purity of mind. I told you the initial pre-qualifications for Vedanta are very high. Your concentration should be on something elevating, on God or on the scripture, something like that. Then you will see automatically your vrittis are regulated. That itself is such a peaceful state, isn't it? उसमें कितना आनंद है, लेकिन उसको छोड़ के we will concentrate on something just out of force of habit. You know, all this is habit. Concentrate on something which is makes your mind so erratic, so uncomfortable. But क्या करें, अब वही available है, because we are not used to very peaceful states, many of us. So see, that is why Thakur used to say always, from time to time, go into sadhana, go into quietness. He would advise everyone, no? That is so important for your mind to get used to vrittis like that. So once it gets used to vrittis like that, it will behave. It will be well regulated. It will be silent and quiet. And the vrittis you can actually watch. So you can watch the gap, the interval between two vrittis also. In fact, you can extend that interval consciously, because you have become the awareness that underlies the thought process. You are now not the thoughts, not the vrittis anymore. So fundamentally, you see, this is yoga. You are doing chitta vritti nirodh so that you remain over as the witness awareness and don't join up with the thought process. So when you attain this state, you will clearly see, he says, nirvikalpa chaitanyam. Means the chaitanya which is without vikalpa. Vikalpa is the thought form, the modification of the mind. Visheshena kalpitam is vikalpam, which means whatever you think or imagine or your creation, the creation of your mind, it is that creation of the mind has subsided. As a result, you see the unmodified consciousness that you are. See, in that stage, no, you don't have to draw conclusions like, I am that witness. You will just realize you are that witness. You don't have to think about it. I told you, ultimately, Vedanta does not come by thinking. It is an intuition, it is a realization. You suddenly realize, I am this only. I got identified with the thought, that was my mistake. तो इसको एकदम solid पकड़ना है. See, our meditation hours should give us this knowledge in the first person, first hand. And once you attain to something like this, you will understand the value of the samadhi state. Until then, it is not even, well, it is somebody's good idea, it will appear like that. Samadhi is so very important for the knowledge of Vedanta. For this reason alone, you yourself have become that consciousness which underlies the thought process, and you have been able to subside the thought process. And for long time, you see, when dhyan goes on for 144 seconds, it turns into samadhi. 144 seconds is not a joke. It's over 2 minutes. So, but if it is made possible, you are remaining, you will become full consciousness. One glimpse of that, and it is a, yes, it's a turnaround for your life, entire life. So this state of mind is from where Vedanta emerges. That is why they are telling you Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya. You see, if two objects are constantly shaking, they will make sense to each other. If one becomes still, then it will understand that the shaking object has no real value. Your thoughts are like that, and your awareness is always still. When you step into pure awareness, you will understand that the identification with thoughts is meaningless. This is called para-vairagya. The real vairagya this is. Which means you are very happy to disidentify from the mind. You have nothing much to do with it. आपने शिव जी की मूर्ति देखी है ना? Lord Shiva. Why do we love him so much? For the simple reason he shows that he is established in that state all the time. He is just immersed in that. ध्यान में मग्न है शिव जी. और कुछ है ही नहीं उनके मन में. मन ही नहीं है. मन होगा तो कुछ होगा ना. मन he has transcended mind. That is why he is Shiva. He is the supremely auspicious one. He is established in Advaita, the non-dual. That picture so attracts our minds that that's why we are devotees of Lord Shiva. It's a state of being, please understand. It's your own state of being, actually. But just now we are functioning with the monkey mind as the Jiva. Jiva is actually Shiva. So that picture, you see, it has such an impact, actually the image of Shiva. Even if you go to any Shiva, there's a Shiva temple right here. If you go there and if you sit in that, any Shiva temple you go and you sit in the Garbha Mandir in front of the Shivling, your mind will calm down automatically because the Linga embodies the state of transcendence from mind. So your own mind will get dissolved there. Maybe in a Krishna temple you have wonderful bhavs and moods coming into your mind. But Shiva temple, he will arrest everything. Because that is the Shiva state. On that state are all the divine moods dancing. Lekin ye state fundamental hai. It is your own real nature. So you must catch it in the first person. Ye jo clues de rahe hai na yahan par, they are very important. Catch the interval between two thoughts he is telling you. Which means make your thoughts such that you will be able to catch that interval. As long as you are thinking of all sorts of things and the mind is, opposite thought currents and many tracks can be. All this, if it is going on, you can't reach this. When there is, it is called Sajatiya Ekagra Vritti Pravaha. Which means same type of vritti at the same pace moving along. Then it is possible to catch the interval between two vrittis, two thoughts, and increase that interval also. So for that, the best means is devotion. If you can't be in the state of Shiva, have devotion to Shiva, you will go into his state. See how easy it is. Have devotion to the personal aspect of God. It will naturally bring you to his own impersonal aspect. See, God is God only because he is established in this. Isn't it? And we are we because we are not established in this. So you must enter into this state with a little amount of training and pointed devotion to the ideal. Until you realize, Shivoham, I myself am that. Until then you worship Shiva like that. So one-pointedly. See, there are so many beautiful stavas, no? These praises and hymns on Lord Shiva. You take any one of them and dwell on what it is saying. The pure state of Shiva will be described there. You can't but worship him. You can't but worship him because it is your own nature which you are yearning for. Through all these experiences of the senses and mind, you are actually yearning for that. Unable to find it within yourself, you are trying to find it in this, in that, in this person, that person. Yahi hum kar rahe hain. We are trying to see Shiva. But you know, that itself is a evolving mind, growing mind. So it will not give you the perfect ideal. So then you break the relationship, you fight, you quarrel, you do all this. So the best way, the mature life, is to become independent of object by bringing these states into our own awareness, unfolding awareness to the greatest extent. Then you will see, when you are united with Shiva, do you require anybody else in your life or anything else? That's why we have all these stories in our Puranas, you know. Markandeya Rishi ki story hai. Aapko pata hai, isliye I won't go into the story. But that Ganesh and Kartikeya story is there, circumambulating Shiva. Kartikeya went all around the world, universe on his peacock. But Shiva only Ganesha only circumambulated Shiva. Because Shiva denotes the self. If you have self-knowledge, it is more than going all over the world, getting knowledge of the whole world. All these stories are indicative of the value of self-knowledge in our lives. Isn't it? And take any devotee of Shiva. वो कर्णप्पा की story है. I don't know if you all have heard. It is so thrilling. Okay, many of you don't know, so let me give you that story here. See, there was this a tribal devotee of Lord Shiva. He was the son of the head of a tribe actually, and he was a hunter they were hunters by profession. So every day these group of youngsters would go and hunt, and those wild boars and deer and all that, and then carry the dead animals back home. So one day when they were deep in the forest like that, suddenly this boy, Kannappa his name was, he came across a temple of Lord Shiva, a small temple. And an attraction, see that when awakening comes, no, this happens. Deep attraction for the temple. And he ran and went and sat inside the temple. And then he saw that the Shivling is there. Then he thought that my Lord is sitting here, what am I doing there? I will every day come and worship him here. So, but how do I worship? He doesn't know anything. Itna simple hai wo, he doesn't know anything, he has never worshipped like that. But man ka bhav itna tivra hai ki he wants to somehow do something for the Lord. So he said, wait, let me get water. They pour water on your head. No, I will get water. Then he ran to some river or some lake close by, and koi pitcher kuch nahi hai, isliye muh mein pani bhar ke. Yes, he brought water in his mouth and poured it on Shiva. Then he had killed some wild boar. So I'll feed you, wait, I have to feed you first. Then he cut open that boar there only and placed a big lump of meat on near the Shivling. And then flowers, he went to pluck flowers. He doesn't know anything about worship, but that the inner vague of his emotion made him do all this. So he went and how he plucked flowers, he plucked from the trees and put it on his head, on his turban, and which means it's already offered to him. Okay, but he didn't realize all that, and he brought it like that and removed it and put it on Shiva. All this kind of bizarre worship he did, and then he sat in meditation and enjoyed the presence of his Lord. Then his heart was full. See, when awakening comes, everything connected with the Lord becomes important. So his heart was very full out of this puja, and then he told his friends, come, okay, now let's go home. Every day I'm going to come here. When we come for hunting, I will come here. So by evening he went. Now evening the pujari of the temple came. And he every day came in the morning and evening to do puja in that Shiva temple. And he saw, what is all this? Meat on Shiva and water and all kinds of wild flowers on Shiva's head. So he cleaned up the whole place saying, Shiva, let the whole place be purified. He put Ganga water, then he sat down for worship, he did Aarti, created the atmosphere of puja nicely. And the next morning he came again and did all this worship. Then he left. Again next day Kannappa came after his hunting episode. Again same thing he did, and very happily with a full heart he went back. Evening again the pujari came and he said, "Oh Lord, how do you tolerate all this? Huh? And what a kind, this is such a unholy way of worshipping you. Why don't you teach him a lesson, the one who is doing this?" He did all this and with anger cleaned the temple and did his puja. Again he went. Third day also same thing happened. Then Lord Shiva it seems, wanted to test. So he told Parvati, ki, see, between these two, one is very ritually, he is worshipping me with devotion. Another one, no ritual, but full of an intense bhav for me. Who is better? Let's find out. So next day when the pujari came for worship in the morning, Shivling had two eyes. And one eye had, blood started coming out of one eye. Like it was bleeding, the eye. And this pujari, this Brahmin saw that and he thought suddenly that because of all this unholy worship and all these acts, the Lord is angry. Shiva is angry, so it's an inauspicious omen. Otherwise, how this can happen to the Shivling? And he ran away from there. He bowed down, he said, "Pardon me, Lord, if I have committed any mistake," and he went away from there. And Kannappa came after some time. Again, he had brought meat and all that. And he placed it, he saw the two eyes on the Shivling, and he said, "My Lord, first time you have shown me your beautiful eyes, then but why is one eye bleeding? You must be in such pain. Wait, I will give you one eye." See the bhav in the devotee. For him, Shiva is 100% real. And then he sat close to it and took a knife, and it seems he cut out his eye. He knew that only. And he placed it on the Shivling and started dancing. "Now, my Lord, it won't matter whether this eye bleeds. You have one of my eyes." Then the second eye started bleeding of Shiva, the second eye. Oh, then he was so worried. "Why is this happening to you?" "Don't worry, I have one more eye. I will give that to you." And as he was going to pierce the other eye with his knife, they say he had the darshan of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva manifested to him and said, "You alone are my true devotee because for you I am 100% real. Everything that you have, how happily you are offering to me at the cost of your own blindness, so hereafterwards you will only belong to me and you will come to me." So they say he went to Kailash and he became one of the attendants of Lord Shiva. But he became a great saint just by the power of his devotion, which was so strange, you see. So the inner bhav of devotion is all that matters. To attain Shivahood, you need devotion to Shiva. Shivahood is Vedanta, isn't it? It is the state of your own Shivahood. Through devotion to Shiva, you will attain Shivahood, which means you are able to sacrifice everything about yourself, your being, to him. इसका मतलब है ईगो को एकदम obliterate करना. Understanding body-mind mechanism is only an instrument for me to function in this world. No identities, absolutely no attachments. If this state of mind and supreme devotion to that state of pure being is there, your whole life will become an offering to him. It will be natural. Renunciation is always natural. It is never forced. It is never imposed. Yeah, it is always natural. You want that, so whatever is required for that, you are doing. So then life will become like that. That is the only way you can reach this knowledge, isn't it? When we talk of renunciation, people have all sorts of ideas about it. But for the renunciant, you should remember it is the most natural thing to do, most obvious thing to do, and it is also easiest thing to do. If you tell me a mindful experience or a mindful experience, there's a difference between the two. If your mind is full of all sorts of, it's cluttered with so many things, it is such a burden. You want to get out of that mind. And mindful means what? No double L here, single L. It means it is so empty, the mind is so empty, you are just in the present moment, full of awareness. You will always prefer this. इसीलिए तो mindful meditation, vipassana सब इसीलिए करते हैं. So renunciation is only natural. Don't equate it with all sorts of symbols of renunciation. Renunciation is in the mind essentially. When you are absolutely happily giving up other things so that you attain this state on an everyday basis, it is renunciation. So you see, all this is being implied here in the 11th mantra. Let's go to the 12th one because it's connected. एक द्वि त्रि क्षणेनैवं विकल्पस्य निरोधनं क्रमेणाभ्यस्यतां यत्नाद् ब्रह्मानुभवकाङ्क्षिभिः एवं निरोधं विकल्पस्य. The suppression of these modifications of the mind, abhyasyatam, you must practice them, he is saying. Yatnat, with care, with diligence. Brahma anubhava akankshibihi. Those who are desirous of the experience of Brahman should practice this. Kramena, eka, dvi, tri kshanena. By degrees, which means one moment, then the second moment, third moment, you have to practice catching this interval between two thoughts. See how the method is being highlighted. Moment to moment, you practice separating the vrittis and catching the interval between them. That is the secret to the knowledge of Brahman. As long as vrittis are flourishing non-stop, you will not attain this state. Isn't it? Even if your vrittis are about Shiva, you use Shiva initially in order to attain the state of Shivahood. But without attaining the state, if you keep just attached to the vrittis connecting Shiva, even that is not enough. Although that is a step towards the ultimate. Thinking of the Lord and finally entering into the state of the Lord. And then seeing the Lord in all beings and serving them as worship of the divine, not as serving a human being. See, that vision comes naturally for one who has touched this knowledge of Brahman. Naturally it will come. It is not practiced. It is the outcome of the level of your mind. Sarva bhuta sthamatmanam sarva bhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma. See? Sarvatra samadarshana. This is Bhagavad Gita. Sarva bhuta sthamatmanam, which means one who sees in all beings himself and himself in all beings. How? Yoga yuktatma, who has through yoga. Yoga itself means union. To yoke yourself to the ultimate and become one with it. One who has so joined himself to the divine through yoga, yogena yukta atma. He sees sarvatra samadarshana. He sees the same being through all forms. Form and name and shape and all that is so superfluous to such perception that it will have no meaning. See, one of the signs of a realized person is he does not give importance to his upadhis, nor will he care for your upadhis. Because if you don't give importance to your own upadhis, will you bother about anybody's upadhis? Upadhi is upadhi. It's a superimposition upon your glorious divine nature. Will he see your divine nature or will he see your upadhi? So you will see many saints are like that. They just don't bother about the external. That doesn't mean, well, they are insensitive people or... It's not that, their perception only is different. I remember Mahapurush Maharaj in Belur Math, there's this beautiful incident. On Guru Purnima day, many devotees in Belur Math, huge line to bow down to President Maharaj. And Mahapurush Maharaj was sitting there, and as people came and bowed down to him, he also would bow down to them. So then the sevak thought that he's such an elderly person, why should he bow down every time? And he said, Maharaj, aaj to Guru Purnima, today is Guru Purnima, so they are bowing down to their Guru, why are you bowing down to them? Then he said, Maharaj said, what to do, I see only Brahman. So shouldn't I bow down to Brahman? For all this is only hazy in their vision. They are seeing only Brahman. So their behavior also is like that. Not that you see this etiquette or whatever we call good behavior, not that it comes by practice. It comes by when your inner perception changes. How will you treat the other person? You will treat him exactly as you have known yourself. So, essential thing is this inner change. It is no use polishing the outer behaviors. This is what we are doing. All psychologists know this. Simply polishing the outer behavior and outer mannerisms, and that's all secondary. So, Vivekananda used to say, scratch the surface and the inner devil comes out. So, that should not happen. The essential change is internal. When your inner perception changes, you see, a girl may be very, you can say, overactive and frenzied and her entire behavior. But when there is a child in her arms, how she will become? Like that, when you learn to perceive yourself as Atman, Brahman, your entire behavior and everything will change. You suddenly become very responsible for the whole world. Because this is a manifestation of Him. All other things are secondary. What religion you belong, what other characteristics you have, what upadhis you hold, all that is tertiary. Essential thing is you are a spark of the divine. So you deserve to be treated like that. So this is the perception here, you see. Let's go to 13. Sa vikalpaka jivoyam brahma syan nirvikalpakam aham brahmeti vakyena soyamartho abhidhiyate. Ayam, this savikalpa jivaha, this individual self, which I hold myself to be, the jiva with modifications of mind, Syat, he itself, he alone becomes Brahma Nirvikalpakam, the undifferentiated Brahman. He becomes that. How? Aham Brahma iti vakyena, by realizing the truth of the teaching, Aham Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. That is a Mahavakya, isn't it? So, see, again another important clue. Just by this thought of Aham Brahmasmi, one can attain to this undifferentiated consciousness. This very jiva who is savikalpaka, he attains to the nirvikalpa state of consciousness just by thinking of Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. See, in the early hours of dawn, if you practice Aham Brahmasmi in a very clear state of mind, some inkling of pure awareness you will get. For a long time the practice may be required, but you will get. That's the power of the Mahavakya. Look at the word meaning. This individual self, jiva, which is now affected by modifications of the intellect, will in time become one with the undifferentiated Brahman by realizing the truth of the Vedantic teaching, I am Brahman. That is the idea sought to be conveyed here in this treatise. So this is the power of the Mahavakya. Not that we have some special eligibility for Brahma Vidya, but the power of the Mahavakya can generate this knowledge. Where are the Mahavakyas found? In the Upanishads. They are cryptic statements in the Upanishads which directly point to the identity of the self with Brahman. So if they are repeated, they have magical power on the pure mind. There are 4 Mahavakyas, you must have heard of it. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Ayamatma Brahma and Prajnanam Brahma. These are found in 4 different Upanishads. This Ayamatma Brahma is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tattvamasi is from the Chandogya Upanishad. And Ayamatma Brahma is Mandukya Upanishad. And Prajnanam Brahma is Aitareya Upanishad. So these Mahavakyas, if you repeat them, they have the power to put your mind into the state of pure awareness, Brahman. And there are many other such powerful statements in the Upanishads. Always you must remember, you must take, well, we need not go into the analysis of the Mahavakya here, but you must understand what is it saying. Aham Brahmasmi. This I sense in me, which is unattached to the upadhis, the pure I sense, that itself is Brahman. See, huge clue. The Mahavakya itself is a huge pointer. The pure I in me should be caught. As long as I am this and that and that and that, how can I get the pure I in me? There's one beautiful book by David Godman. I don't know if you have seen it. Be as you are. It is Conversations with Raman Maharshi. David Godman. You must read it. Be as you are.
Audio.
Yes, yes. It's very powerful. Be as you are. Your job is to be as you are, not to be this and that. See, remember this, in the transactional world, in the Vyavaharika world, you be whatever you want to be. You have different roles to play, undoubtedly. But don't allow that role to dominate your mind. Isn't it? Now see, if you are a boss in your workplace, can you be a boss at home? This is what I'm saying. You don't have to play the same role all the time. You must be able to put aside your roles. Like you wear this mask now we are wearing. When you are doing your meditation, you put aside the mask. So all roles are masks. You wear it. Be very intelligent. See, Vedanta is for people who are very intelligent, able to do all these things. One of the qualifications which Shankaracharya speaks of is ability to understand the scripture and interpret it and defend it against opposite views. This level of intelligence is required. Medha it is called. It will come with the awakening of Dhi, which means you play your roles perfectly well in your family, in your workplace, wherever, whatever you have to do. At the same time, you are not that role. You can put it aside and become your true self whenever you wish. So this ability should come into our lives. If you are playing the same role in all places, you will be a disaster. If you can't put aside your roles, again you will be a disaster. Suppose you wear a mask and you can't put it down. How horrible that would be. So yahi ho raha hai hamare saath. And you are confused about whether you are the mask or the face. That is another problem. You think you are the mask. Because you have never seen your face, you think you are the mask. So once you learn to meditate properly, it's like seeing your face. First time you get to see your face, then you will put your masks aside. Koi baat nahi. Agar pehno theek hai, na pehno to bhi theek hai, it will become like that. So don't give things the importance they don't deserve. Your different identities are meant to play different roles in the world so as to give you the experience to get this knowledge. They have no more value than that. But if you stick to your mask and refuse to see your face, then life is a waste. And wearing any mask, you cannot actually perfect your role. Have you seen that? Nobody will be completely satisfied with you, no matter what mask you wear. This is the nature of the evolving mind. It seeks perfection. Only God can be perfect. No matter what role we play, we cannot play it absolutely well to everybody's satisfaction. So don't try. Wear it, use it, do your thing, do your duties, your responsibilities, satisfy that, turn to God. Turn to God. Otherwise, the mask will stick to the face. Okay. Thakur, you see, Sri Ramakrishna's life is the best illustration of all this. How he would treat upadhis. Have you seen Sri Ramakrishna's life? He used to say pratishtha, a kind of establishment in identities, is shukar vishta, he used to say, which means it is equal to filth. This inner realization should come that indeed, if I try to establish myself in some identity which is all concocted and means nothing to the other person, you know that you may think your identity is really big, but nobody else will. Your own children will not think of it. They want to see you without your identities. So it's big only to you. And he used to say that these identities are equal to filth. These attachments, investing yourself into something you are not, it will lead you away from the ultimate goal. So you see, you have to play this role. Play your part in the world, at the same time establish yourself in Brahman consciousness. That is your real nature. When you do this, you will get a tejas and a kind of glow in your personality, which will help you handle all situations very well. But without this, it's all defunct, you know. It doesn't work. It's that simple. Without Brahma Tej, you get very little out of life. So we'll go to the last, this one for today, and we'll stop here, 14th one. Savikalpaka chidyo aham brahmaikam nirvikalpakam swata siddha vikalpaste nirodhavya prayatnataha. What does this mean? Savikalpaka chit, the reflected consciousness with modifications. Ya aham brahma ekam, that I am, which is actually one with Brahman. And that Brahman is nirvikalpakam, undifferentiated. These modifications, these vikalpas, swata siddha, are self-evident, nirodhavya, but they have to be suppressed, prayatnataha, with efforts. Look at the meaning. The reflected consciousness, though involved in the modifications of the intellect, that I am now, is really one with the undifferentiated Brahman. The apparent modifications which are self-evident, being always associated with the reflected consciousness, have only to be suppressed by all efforts in order that this realization of Brahman may come. See, summarizing the whole thing. Just now I am that jiva, but it is not different from Brahman. By suppressing the modifications of my mind, I will find my identity with Brahman. So you see, the modifications of the mind have to be brought under control. And finally, let go of and try to find the interval between them, that which underlies them. By any means, they come as flashes of insight and deep inner, you get refreshed to the depths of your being if you are able to catch that awareness, which is like a stringing these pearls of thoughts and making sense of our thought currents. So you are the ultimate interpreter and the underlying reality of your thought process. You should be able to do it you can only do this in the first person, isn't it? This knowledge is like that. And you can do it by the power of meditation. When you develop a steady mind, at once all this becomes very important. As long as the mind is shaking, only the world will be important to you, because that is also shaking. Everything relates to its own level of vibration. Yeah. So bring the mind to a state of stillness and depth, and which actually means deeply conscious mind. When you still it in a perfectly conscious state, you will become more conscious. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Chaitanya ke chinta kore ki kyo achaitanya hai. He would say, thinking of awareness, can you become unaware? Thinking of consciousness, can you become unconscious? So you only become more conscious from within yourself. And then if you adopt this method, deliberately, consciously stall the vrittis of your mind. See what is the connecting thing between two vrittis. You will come to pure awareness. And use the Mahavakya like a powerful tool. When you say Aham Brahmasmi, it should ring true to the depths of your being. The I in me is nothing but Brahman. I can never be this Jiva. I can never ever be this body. I cannot be in relation to this world. Because it is something of my making. I can only be awareness. Again and again do this, and there will come a time when you feel this is the only reality. So this is Vedanta. It is a completely you can't even say self-transforming, It overhauls the whole thing and gives you the real taste of life, because life is connected to awareness. An unaware life is an unintelligent, stupid life, isn't it? Tamasic Jivan kya Jivan hai? Vedanta will only bring you the entire complete taste of life. The biggest slice of life is possible only through Vedanta. Because you remember this, consciousness revitalizes your vital energies like anything. They have a function, awareness and vital energy. When you touch this state of awareness, pure awareness, your vitality will bloom like anything. So even your perceptions and cognitions and sensations, everything itself gets charged up. I'm telling you, the real taste of life comes with Vedanta. Until then, it's only cluttered, everything is, confusion, nothing else. And very low energy. So where is the taste of life? That's why you need 1,000 objects to entertain you. And with that also you are bored. When there is no awareness, there will be only boredom and hoarding of objects, because I need something to engage with, otherwise I don't know. How stupid that way of life is. So first is self-knowledge, that is why. Then the knowledge of the world. So that this becomes a possibility. We'll end this session here and we'll take up Q&A. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.